Most people aren't broke because of a lack of money. They're broke because of a poverty blueprint etched so deeply into their subconscious, it governs every decision they make. Every missed opportunity. Every fear. Every excuse. You can hand a broke man $1 million, and within months, he'll be right back where he started. Not because he doesn't want wealth, but because he doesn't know how to receive it, hold it, command it. See, money is never the root. The root is internal. The root is belief. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." Most people, they live every day proving they can't. Not because the world told them so, but because the voice in their mind has been whispering it since they were children. That money is hard. That success is for others. That ambition is dangerous. That it's noble to settle. And so they do. They settle for the job they hate. The paycheck that barely covers rent. The same loop every day, secretly praying that one day, something, anything, will change. But change never arrives by accident. Change is designed. Let me say this with no hesitation, broke is a mindset. It's passed down like an heirloom. Like a curse. You saw your parents stress over bills. You watched arguments break out over overdraft fees. You were told, "We can't afford that," more times than you were told, "You can be anything you dream of." And now you speak those same limitations over your own life. Silently. Subtly. But relentlessly. Understand this, wealth is not just about what you earn. It's about what you believe you're worth. That's why lottery winners lose it all. Why entrepreneurs sabotage their own rise. Why dreams die quietly in comfortable jobs. Because the internal thermostat was never changed. You were taught how to survive. Not how to win. And survival is the enemy of prosperity. Napoleon Hill wrote, "There is a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it." Most people wish for abundance, but they're not ready for it. Because readiness requires responsibility. It demands vision, discipline, grit, and above all, it demands a radical shift in who you believe yourself to be. Look around. How many live on autopilot? Wake up. Work. Eat. Sleep. Repeat. Not because they love it, but because they fear the unknown more than they hate the familiar. Because the cage, though painful, has become a place of comfort. That's the real prison. Not poverty, but mental stagnation. If you want to stop being broke, stop thinking like someone who is. Riches don't come from more hours. They come from more clarity. More courage. More connection to a purpose larger than your excuses. It starts when you stop treating your life like a reaction, and start building it like an architect. Brick by brick. Belief by belief. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Edison failed over 10,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Lincoln lost dozens of elections before becoming one of the greatest presidents in history. What made them different? Not luck. Not privilege. But an unshakable inner decision: I will not live small. Most people stay broke because they are more loyal to their comfort than to their calling. They know what they should do, but they won't do it. Not because it's impossible, but because they've trained their mind to believe it's safer to stay still. That safety is a lie. The most dangerous place to be is in a life you know you were never meant to live. You want to change your life? Burn the blueprint that keeps you broke. The mental script that says, "I'm not enough." Tear it out. Rewrite it. Not with affirmations alone, but with action. With proof. Prove to yourself that you are who you've always suspected you could be. Not one of the greats was born with certainty. But every single one chose it. Over and over again. In the face of doubt. In the silence of rejection. In the darkness of discipline. And that choice. That decision. It built empires. You don't need more luck. You need more alignment. Your habits must mirror your goals. Your environment must match your ambition. Your thoughts must be filtered through a lens of power, not panic. Because if your mindset stays broke, no amount of money will ever be enough. It will vanish. It will slip through your hands like water. This is your awakening. The life you want will not be handed to you. It must be demanded. Not from the world, but from yourself. From the deepest part of you that remembers what it was like to dream without limits. The version of you that believes again. That moves again. That builds, not because it's easy, but because it's worthy. You were not born to chase checks. You were born to create change. But it starts with the courage to look inward and say, "I refuse to think like a broke man anymore. I refuse to act like one. I refuse to build a life around fear and call it humility." The new blueprint begins here. The world won't hand you self-belief. It will challenge it. It will test it. It will poke holes in it, again and again. And every time it does, you have two choices: retreat or reinforce. Reinforce it. Reinforce it with repetition. Reinforce it with discipline. Reinforce it by remembering every single time you made it through something you once thought would break you. Because belief isn't built in breakthroughs. It's built in the inches. In the daily decision to stay committed to something no one else sees but you. Remember this: the most dangerous man is the one who has nothing but vision and faith, and still moves forward. The most powerful woman is the one who's doubted by everyone around her, and still keeps building. Not because it's easy, but because it's hers. Your path is your responsibility. No one owes you belief. No one owes you understanding. That's your job. Lincoln carried the weight of a divided nation on his back. He lost election after election. He buried his children. He faced unrelenting criticism. And yet he stood. Not because the world supported him, but because he supported himself. His belief in the greater mission was unshakable. That's what relentless belief looks like. Not perfection, but persistence in the face of everything designed to break you. And persistence is purpose in motion. Purpose gives your belief fuel. When your why is big enough, no how can stop you. When you know why you're waking up at 5 a.m. Why you're saying no to distractions. Why you're standing when you could lie down, that's when self-belief becomes identity. It becomes who you are, not what you hope for. That's the shift. When belief goes from a feeling to a standard. Something you hold yourself to, whether or not the world claps. And once you've found that purpose, you protect it. Because everything around you will try to dilute it. To tell you you're dreaming too big. To tell you it's been done before. To tell you to be realistic. But realistic has never built empires. Reasonable has never changed the world. Safe has never inspired generations. So if you want to build relentless self-belief, you must first destroy the belief that you need permission. You don't. You don't need the nod. You don't need the applause. You don't need the perfect background or the right timing or someone to finally tell you you're ready. You are ready the moment you decide you are. That decision is power. That decision is your defiance. That decision is your rebirth. The person who once second-guessed every step. Dead. The version of you who waited for everything to feel perfect. Buried. The future you, the one who walks with clarity and conviction, is being built right now, in this moment, every time you choose to believe when it's easier not to. Every time you say, I don't care if they don't believe in me, I do. That's how it starts. A whisper. A decision. A vow. And then it grows. The world might not see it yet. But belief has a way of revealing itself in time. In the work. In the results. In the way people begin to wonder how you kept going through everything that should have stopped you. And you'll smile, because you'll know the truth, I stopped doubting myself. And when you do that, the world has no choice but to catch up. The doubters fade. The critics go silent. The crowd grows quiet. And you? You keep building. Because relentless belief is not about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving to yourself that your faith was not misplaced. That the hours you worked when no one watched. The sacrifices you made that no one thanked. The tears you cried that no one saw. All of it meant something. All of it was worth it. Because you believed. And belief, true belief, always pays off. Always. Not because the world changes, but because you did. Would you like me to continue into the next 1,000 words to carry this emotional and empowering rhythm all the way to its final crescendo? Because when you change, everything around you begins to change. Not by force, but by frequency. Not because you shouted, but because you vibrated higher. You started to attract what aligned. You stopped chasing approval and started commanding presence. And the people, the opportunities, the energy that once ignored you? They begin to orbit you, not because they understand you, but because your belief makes them question theirs. That's the quiet power of relentless self-belief. It doesn't demand attention. It earns respect. It doesn't beg for validation. It builds value. And it doesn't wait for perfect timing, it creates it. But understand this, building belief is not a straight line. There will be days when the noise wins. When the doubt is louder than the dream. When your reflection doesn't match the vision you hold. Those are the days that matter most. Because it's easy to believe when you're winning. It's when you're tired. When you're overlooked. When you're doubting. That's when your belief becomes real. That's when it stops being an idea and becomes a weapon. And like every powerful weapon, it must be sharpened. Sharpen it in silence. Sharpen it in sweat. Sharpen it in the hours where you could be resting, but you choose to become something more. Because belief without work is just hope. And hope without action is just noise. Action is what separates the believers from the wishers. So move. Even when it's messy. Even when it's uncertain. Even when it doesn't feel like enough. Move. Because every step forward is a statement. I'm not who I used to be. I'm not waiting anymore. Edison moved like that. So did Carnegie. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't have perfect plans. But they had belief so strong it moved through their fear. And that's the only way out, through. Through the hesitation. Through the second guessing. Through the loneliness. Through the failures. Because belief isn't a destination. It's a decision you remake daily. Hourly. Sometimes minute by minute. It's the voice inside that says, I know it doesn't look like much right now, but I'm building something eternal. It's the fire that says, I will become what I know I was born to be, even if no one believes it yet. It's the refusal to dim just because the room can't handle your light. And yes, there will be resistance. Because belief disturbs what's comfortable. It threatens the average. It makes insecure people uncomfortable. And some will try to pull you back to who you used to be, not because they hate you, but because your growth highlights their stagnation. Let them be uncomfortable. You are not responsible for protecting their comfort. You are responsible for fulfilling your calling. And that calling is loud. It's wild. It's divine. You feel it in your bones. You see it in your dreams. You hear it in the silence between your doubts. That's why you're still here. Because no matter how many times you've questioned yourself, there's always been a flicker. A voice. A whisper, keep going. That's belief. Even when everything screams, quit, belief is what whispers, not yet. And that whisper? That's the seed. But it needs your protection. Your watering. Your patience. It needs you to act, even when the harvest seems far off. Because one day, quietly and without announcement, it will break through. Not because of luck. Not because of timing. But because you refused to give up when you had every reason to. That's what makes it relentless. Not flashy. Not loud. But unshakable. Like a mountain. Like a storm that never runs dry. Like a soul that remembers who it is, even when the world forgets. So walk like you're already chosen. Speak like your voice changes lives. Move like you are being watched by your future self, because you are. He's waiting for you. She's watching you. The version of you who finally became is not a fantasy. They are a reality that requires your alignment. Your belief is the gate. And every day you hesitate, the gate stays closed. But the second you say, I'm ready, the universe starts clearing the path. Not because it's easy. But because now you're aligned. Now you're not asking if, you're asking how fast. And when you operate from that energy, you stop attracting crumbs. You stop chasing temporary highs. You stop begging people to see you. Because you already saw yourself. That's the power of relentless self-belief. It changes how you speak, how you move, how you rise, and how you fall and get back up again. It makes you magnetic. Not because of how you look, but because of the frequency you carry. You become the kind of person who walks into a room and alters the temperature, not because you tried, but because you trained your mind to carry your future in your presence. That's not ego. That's alignment. And it is earned. Every day. Every choice. Every time you choose not to betray yourself for the comfort of others.